able to do that. But then I called Bhakti Charu Swami, wrote him an email, asked him if he was going to be in town. Because that's the hardest part about getting together with somebody. If they're going to be in town the same time you're in town, or if they're traveling here, you're traveling there. So, and he was going to be there. So I said, well, what's the best thing for me to do? Should I get a room at the camp, at the ISKCON Kumbh Mela camp? He says, probably better to take a room at the ISKCON Ujjain guest house, which was very good advice at the time. Because during that Kumbh Mela, when I was there was 2 heavy storms that came through. And one storm hit the Shaivite area of the Kumbh Mela, and the other storm came through and hit the Vaishnava area of the Kumbh Mela. So I happened to be, and I was watching this from my room at the ISKCON Ujjain guest house. And I was thinking, oh my God, somebody's going to get clobbered over there. And they did. Some of the camps were like damaged, destroyed. But while I was there, the nice thing about it was I brought a couple of my books to present to Bhakti Charu Swami, and we were able to have a few meetings. We had breakfast together a number of times, lunch together with other devotees as well. So I was able, after all that, I was able to spend some time with him. And before I moved to the hotel where I was scheduled to stay for the big conference, where Prime Minister Modi was going to speak and all these other big people were there. And so it was interesting to share the stage with people like that. But I always wanted to spend some more time with Bhakti Charu Swami. And I was hoping I'd be able to. It never quite worked out. I was hoping maybe I'd be able to go down to his Florida center at some point and be able to spend some time there. But who knows? You never know. I may still spend some more time with him. He's 74. I'm almost 70. So maybe I'll catch up with him someplace. But that's the whole point, is that I was reading from the Krishna Sandarbha by Jiva Goswami. And he was explaining in there that any catastrophe that happens, and he was relating to the disappearance of the Yadu dynasty, the disappearance of Lord Krishna, any catastrophe that happens like that, or any disappearance of any of the devotees, it should be considered like a magical trick of Krishna. It is part of the illusory energy. It's not like we lose them, they're out of our sight, but they go on to some other level. And he was talking to Daruka about it. And he was telling Daruka, anybody who sees this should know it's just part of my potency that these things happen. It's like a magical trick. But you, as a realized soul, should know better than to fall under the illusion of lamentation or anything like this. Of course, even sages and sadhus, they also become a little sad when their parents or someone that they know leaves them. So we also may feel some sadness at the loss of the association that we could have from such a sadhu. But we should also understand that these are Krishna's pastimes. He schedules where and when devotees come in and come out of the material world to perform whatever activities they're meant to do. And once the activities are done, we may feel that they could have stayed here much longer. But Krishna feels like the work has been done, whatever is left to do, others can do it, and now they're needed somewhere else. So it's not like we ever lose them, even though we may lose the association, but still we have to see on a higher level that they've gone on to other activities, other duties, other needs that are required elsewhere. So it's just a matter of time before we catch up. Otherwise, these are all parts of Krishna's pastimes, eternal engagements. So anyway, I was very happy to have spent whatever time I was able to with Bhakti Charu. He was very kind to me and many others. And I can only hope that I'll meet up again with him sometime. And I'm sure he's already engaged and whatever service Krishna has for him. Because he was a dedicated servant of Srila Prabhupada, and obviously Srila Prabhupada had use for him elsewhere. And in some ways, I have to admit, this is a very selfish thought, but I have to admit, when I look around this world and I see what's happening with the war between different peoples, the pandemic, nations, China, and on, I think he got out of here just in time. And I can only say that maybe I wish I could have left before he did, but whatever Krishna has in store. But I think he's in many ways very lucky that he can go on and do service elsewhere without having to deal with all these circumstances that are arising in this material world that the rest of us are going to have to continue to deal with. So all I can say is Bhakti Charu Swami Ki Jai. Anybody else would like to say a few words? And I want to just say one thing Swami Badarayan said is that if this example of Bhakti Charu Swami succumbing to the coronavirus, he said that this would all be a lesson for the rest of us. This is not a simple matter. It's not a simple thing. So I just want to thank everybody who's taken it seriously enough to wear a mask, to take social distancing, because obviously this is not something that should be taken lightly, as Swami Badarayan said. So thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I had very little association personally with Bhakti Charu Maharaj. I think physically I was probably present 2 or 3 times in his association. One of the first times I remember was we were either in Jagannath Puri Yatra or Vrindavan Yatra with my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Mohammed Swami, and he had invited Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and that was the first time I saw him. He came and gave a class in one of the places. It was very profound, and I was just awestruck. I was thinking, wow, who's this personality? And in the beginning, when I joined ISKCON, I would be listening, always searching for kirtans, searching for bhajans, and the first person I always somehow got to was like Bhakti Charu Maharaj. And I remember the Madhurashtakam bhajan. I never heard that before. I only heard it from him. And so many other bhajans that he sang. He was known for singing bhajans. One thing that struck me was his gentle demeanor. And just yesterday, devotees were sharing his offering to Srila Prabhupada. And the devotees recommended especially reading the last 2 paragraphs, and I just went and read his offering. So one of the things that was written there was an exchange between Bhakti Charu Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. And this was during the last days, and because Bhakti Charu Maharaj joined ISKCON in '76, he got second initiated and first initiation at the same time, and he took sannyas within 3 months. So he must have been a very, very special personality that Srila Prabhupada in the very first meeting asked him to translate all the books that he had written into Bengali. And one of the exchanges that was mentioned in the offering to Srila Prabhupada was that Bhakti Charu Maharaj was, Srila Prabhupada is telling Bhakti Charu Maharaj, why do you continue to cook for me? I told you not to cook for me, don't waste your time, right? I'm not eating and you're just wasting your time. Don't you have better things to do? Go and do something else, right? Do some other devotional activity. And Bhakti Charu Maharaj's response was, Prabhupada, I'm cooking with the hope that you'll eat something and you'll get better and you'll probably eat more. And then Prabhupada's response was, then Bhakti Charu Maharaj just started crying, and Prabhupada saw this. And he said, why are you crying? Is this what I taught you? Didn't I teach you that the soul is eternal and the body is temporary? And Bhakti Charu Maharaj's response in the Vyas Puja offering was, this served as a guiding beacon to me, a guiding light for the rest of my journey in Krishna consciousness. And every time I would think of that. And that was very profound. And the way he ended the offering was, he was saying to Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I have fulfilled every instruction that you gave me. Just like you have taken all your children away and, into your shelter and into your association, please take me away. And I was thinking, wow, this is so, he already knew, and that was his desire, I guess. He just wrote it in the offering. So, with that, all glories to His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. Anybody else?
Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki.
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada ki. I was not very close to Bhakti Charu Maharaj, but I know some of his disciples who was initiated by him. And like Shkinan Prabhu said, he went to another level. Actually, when we see a great Vaishnava leave his body like that, is to graduate. That's when you go to school, you go to the next. You learn so nice, and you go to the next as a graduation for him. And actually as a good lesson for us to really learn from them. Okay, if we don't learn from them, we're going to stay in the same level. And he was very good example, like he always follows Srila Prabhupada, example. Srila Prabhupada said, we have to get on nice, we got to, care about this nation, we have to do what we have to do. We should not waste time, we should hold each other, be together, So when the Vaishnava is leader is a good example to us. We go for a better place. So actually, Krishna consciousness is always, we go all the time, we don't stay in the same level. Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki Jai. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I also never met Bhakti Charu Swami, although I had heard about him and listened to some of his lectures, and was very impressed with his beliefs, and always wanted. I was always encouraging, when Bhakti Charu Swami was going to come to Detroit, because I thought it'd be good for the devotees here, and me personally, just to meet him. And Krishna had other plans, and I wish I would have been able to also go and meet Bhakti Charu Swami. I did watch very closely the dispute in the temple in Brooklyn, and I saw Bhakti Charu Swami really took leadership and insisted that devotees don't fight with each other. As I saw it, the people were really against each other, and I think I watched it live. Bhakti Charu was right there, and he insisted that people don't fight with each other, and I was very impressed with that. And Bhakti Charu Swami.
Hare Krishna. The Swami of Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki. Over the last few years, so many of Srila Prabhupada's disciples have left the planet. Just last evening I was discussing this guy, Srinandanandana Prabhu, being on the board with him, because he is such a highly respected and venerated personality. We usually agree with him on just about everything. But as they say, there was a first time for everything. So I want to say, Srinandan Prabhu said he would like to get out quickly, but I'm hoping and praying for the opposite, that he may stay with us for many more years. So a very happy, healthy life. Thank you for being with us and for us. It is much appreciated. We're very grateful to you. Thank you. As other devotees have mentioned, I haven't had much association with Bhakti Charu Maharaj. In fact, I've had no association, but There is one incident that I remember very vividly. A disciple of Maharaj, Baladevananda Prabhu, he was my colleague at Blue Cross. So when I heard that Maharaj had passed on, this particular incident came to my mind. So many years ago, he was a colleague of mine at Blue Cross, and he was in the same group as I worked for. So our desks were very close. In fact, if I turned around, I could see him and he could see me. So we spent a lot of time in discussions. We had lunch together. We became very good friends. Then a few years passed, and one day I met him at the temple, and he said, "My name now is Baladevananda." So I wasn't very impressed because we had been such good friends. So I asked him, "You not even tell me you are getting initiated. Why?" And then he asked me, "Do you want to hear a story?" I said, "Sure, go ahead." So just a few days previously, there had been a festival in New Vrindavan. So Baladevananda and his wife had attended that festival. There were many distinguished speakers at the festival, and one of them was His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. So he said between classes, his wife and him, they were just strolling around, walking around, taking in the sights and the sounds of New Vrindavan. And by chance they ran into His Holiness. And Maharaj asked him, "Are you initiated?" So he said, "No, Maharaj, I'm not initiated." And he asked, "What about your wife?" And she said, "No, she's not initiated either." And the next question Maharaj asked him was, "Would you like to get initiated?" Needless to say, he was thrilled. He just said yes. How could you say no to something like that? So later that evening, I don't remember, perhaps the following day, there were initiations. Both his wife and he were initiated. So forget telling me, he didn't know this was coming either. Just caught him by surprise. Now they say costless mercy. So it comes in so many different ways, in the most unexpected of times. So he went there with a certain name and he came back as Baladevananda. So this is the mercy of great souls. Sometimes we cannot understand, but we can be grateful for the grace they are showering upon us. His Holiness, we no longer have his physical association, but we have the example that he has set for us, the legacy he has left behind for us. And I recall many years ago, I was in a class with one of my senior illustrious godbrothers. And he said, living or dying, it's not such an important thing. But what kind of an example you set for this world, what kind of a legacy you leave behind for the rest of the world to aspire to follow, that is the most important thing. And in that respect, we can say, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj has left us such an incredible legacy, such an incredible example to follow. And for that, we can be truly grateful to him. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki. So, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami is obviously an extraordinary personality and an extraordinary servant to Srila Prabhupada. I was always struck by his very personal and humble demeanor. And, he comes from a very, very aristocratic family and background, and was extraordinarily intelligent, and as we know, studied in Germany in science, and so had, quite a bit to with him. But he was so detached to all of that and so attached to Srila Prabhupada. And for one to maintain that humility throughout his journey is just extraordinary. It shows his character of devotion. I remember I had a chance to meet him just casually walking on parikrama almost 10 years ago in Mayapur, and just had a conversation with me as if he had known me for 10 years. Just so personal and so loving.
It was really extraordinary and made a deep impression. I talked to my father on Saturday morning, and we were just sharing some realizations, and he told me the story, and because I never really understood how it happened, but once he was in a temple here, and he was walking by the kitchen, and he heard this just extraordinary melodious kirtan playing, and he was struck, and he stopped. He didn't understand the word, but it caught his attention. And so he went into the kitchen, and Pundarik Prabhu was here, and he was playing a cassette from Bhakti Charu Maharaj and singing the Vaishnava bhajans. And my father was so struck, and so he asked for a copy of it. And so he got a copy. He actually brought tapes to the temple the next week, made sure he would make him some copies. And that tape was playing in our house all the time. I remember as a child and growing up, always hearing Bhakti Charu Maharaj's amazing and melodious kirtan. So made a very, very sweet impression. He actually converted them to CDs later and into MP3s as the technology increased. He never lost attachment to those amazing bhajans. So Maharaj obviously has got an exquisite talent in presenting these Vaishnava bhajans for all of us. So anyway, just a couple of realizations, and we'll certainly miss him and pray that we can all follow in his footsteps. And all is Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Holiness Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So as devotees has already mentioned, Maharaj was from such a aristocratic family and very learned, was seeking for the truth, going into the depth, and came across Srila Prabhupada's books, and that's how he was revealed, Nectar Devotion first, and then interestingly met Srila Prabhupada first time in the first meeting with Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj was given the instruction at the very place where Nectar Devotion was instructed to Rupa Goswami, Prayag itself. And Maharaj, in spite of being from the land of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and knowing all this, still he was always having the mood of the humble servant of the servant from the very beginning. And even though he was awarded sannyas so early, still Maharaj was so humble, and I had very few interactions with Maharaj, but when I had, it was leaving a very strong impression of how calm, composed, relaxed he is all the time, very controlled voice, and so personal and always happy and blissful. You can feel the bliss. Following the footstep of Ishwar Puri, Maharaj also served Srila Prabhupada at the last stages of Srila Prabhupada's presence in this world. And I'm sure in the last 50 years, ISKCON has seen a lot of ups and downs, and throughout, all in all, Maharaj was always there. And like Prabhupada said, cooperation is what how we can show our love for Srila Prabhupada. So we can see from the example of Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj how he because so many people come from different backgrounds, different cultures, different nationalities, different impressions, and then having to cooperate and taking the movement forward is in itself not easy. I'm sure we can all see how in small way we have had challenges in our lives, and Bhakti Charu Maharaj shows from his life how he always was there and has a spotless character. Everything he did in such a perfectionistic way, like everything very, very nicely in a perfect way. Just like there's a saying from Chaitanya Charitamrita that a dark spot or a small dark spot in a white background, a bright white background, is much more prominent than elsewhere. If the white background is very common. So even that shouldn't be there. And Maharaj, from his spotless life, has shown, a great example and left a great example. So very grateful for all the services and inspiration Maharaj has done for all of us. And it's such a shocking, jolting, tragic, although we have mixed feelings, that Maharaj is, with Prabhupada and with Lord Krishna in another service, but still we are going to miss Maharaj's presence, and the whole movement all over the world is in a sudden state of shock. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.
Anybody else, please?
His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So as devotees have mentioned, it's such a state of shock for all of us that Maharaj left us so untimely. We didn't really presume that this would happen, especially he was so healthy just a few weeks back. Personally, I got the association of Bhakti Charu Maharaj after I got married. Very interestingly, I heard Maharaj's classes. I kind of seen his humility in different interactions within Mayapur and other places. For the first interaction, I remember when I went to India to get married, getting engaged actually, when I was meeting my wife for the first time. I was supposed to stay in the ISKCON temple's guest house, and I booked my rooms. And then after a long journey to India, I would fallen very sick. I was very ill, so I could not really stay there in Prashadam and everything. So I was staying in my wife's house, my to-be wife's house, and her parents are all disciples of Bhakti Charu Maharaj. And I remember I slept that first night in their house, and I had a dream of Maharaj. He came in my dream. He was sitting on a chair, and there was an ISKCON program going on. And then he asked me to sit near his lotus feet, and I sat there, and he said that she's my daughter. These are devotees who are very dear to me. You need to take care of her very nicely. So I'd never seen his lectures much or had any interaction with him per se, but the very essence of that dream told me that yes, he is entrusted to me, his daughter and his family, who's very dear to him, and it's my responsibility to help in material and spiritual ways to serve them. So Maharaj has been so merciful over the years. Almost every year we used to go and meet Maharaj at his Viland Yatra festival in Orlando or in New Vrindavan. We would ask him different questions about our services, how to serve as grihasthas, how to serve the temples here that we are closely associated with. And he would always give very practical examples and practical solutions. And he would be so humble and so equipoised in the way he presented everything. Many a times he would ask us to have prasadam right with him, sit on the same table with him, and we would deny, but he was so humble, and he would request it with so much of his heart that it's so hard to deny that or to reject his proposal. So as servants, we would try to associate in some little way with him, and he would reciprocate so much more. Maharaj was very merciful, very loving, and Prabhupada was so proud of him. As Prabhu just mentioned, he had a very brief association of Prabhupada. In 1977 was when he met Prabhupada for the first time. Prabhupada had so much faith in him. Prabhupada gave first and second initiation during the Gaur Purnima festival, and in a few months Prabhupada gave him sannyas, and very soon Prabhupada departed. And I just heard yesterday that he spent months and years crying in separation of Prabhupada. He explained that there were buckets and buckets of tears which he poured on Prabhupada's feet with separation. And Prabhupada came in his dream, and Prabhupada kind of scratched his tongue and told him, yes, that is very good, but are you chanting the holy names so sincerely? When you chant the holy names, I'm always there with you. And we know that he fulfilled all of Prabhupada's instructions, Prabhupada's desires so faithfully through the next 43 years. Just as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and extolled the glories of Radharani, which was never known to the world at large. Similarly, Prabhupada came and extolled the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, through the Abhaycharan series, extolled the glories of Prabhupada to the whole world. Millions of people in India who we got to know who Prabhupada was and the glory of this movement. So His glories are unlimited. It's a huge void in our heart for having lost such a exalted son of Srila Prabhupada. So again, just praying to His lotus feet on this very mournful day, but at the same time it's so auspicious that after him having missed Prabhupada for months and years and decades, finally he's reuniting in person with Prabhupada. So in that way, if we can follow even a tinge of what he has done in his footsteps, so we can make him proud, then our life will be successful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki jai. It's very sad that, we're all feeling sad, obviously. I had not known Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj till last few days only. I've known him, and unfortunately or fortunately, I got associated with his medical care team for the last 2 weeks. He was admitted in the Orlando hospital. Me and my wife both, Masandra and Radhamataji, we were on the team. And obviously, yesterday was a very sad day for us to see him leave this body and go. Of course, with Krishna's will and his Prabhupada's desire, how he had to leave, but it's still, immense grief how to deal with this big vacuum he has left behind. Through the course of last 2 weeks, I could see how he interacted with his disciples and his close associates really, really well. He bonded with them to the extent that none of the family members would actually bond with him. It was so personal, and some of the messages I read from his disciples and non-disciples both, how he was so personal with every soul that he came in contact with. It was amazing to see such a personality. One thing I could figure out is that he did not suffer much in the physical body in the last few days. He obviously left his body on the day he got initiated in Purnima, so it was a very auspicious day. He got initiated on the same day, and he gave his body fully to his Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, on the same day he got initiated. And we were working so, I would say, hard on our end to keep him, alive in this body. But I guess his desire was such that he wanted to be with them, and he wanted to, join his Guru and his father, Srila Prabhupada. Obviously, I don't want to go through this whole medical chart. It's very agonizing, but the interactions I had with his disciples, they are so dedicated. It's 2 o'clock in the midnight in UK, and whatever time in India, and his medical team disciples was up and running like there was a bright daytime, and oh my God, I could see how inspiring he was to his disciples through that. He was extremely compassionate, extremely personal with them. He knew their family, their kids, everybody, what they did, what they did not do, and how they should be. Everything was so detailed and so personal with each of them. Unfortunately, I couldn't talk to him, obviously, in his physical body, at the stage he was in, but it was something that I will cherish in my heart all along. And I'm always eternally grateful to both him and Srila Prabhupada for giving us the service in the last 2 weeks to serve him, serve a great Vaishnava, and hopefully someday we can repay his debt by doing more service for what he stood for in his time.
Hare Hare Krishna. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I had the extreme fortune of my life to be a part of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj's medical team for the last 2.5 close to 3 weeks now. My connection with Maharaj actually dates back to a few years ago when I happened to accidentally run into one of his videos of preaching to one of the UK group. It was an alumni, very elite alumni, and they were actually very, very interrogative to him. He defeated them in such a nice way, and that was so impressive to me. And then on, I happened to actually follow his page and everything. A few years ago, I realized that he was doing periodic seminars, and so I was regularly listening to that during my drive time and everything. One of his Uddhava Gita actually series was very, very striking for me because he shared some of the unique understandings that I had never heard anywhere else actually. They were actually related to some medical background, so I could relate with it more closely. And he was a very elite scholar with every understanding is what I knew. When I realized the night that Bhakti Charu Maharaj got infected with COVID, I felt very devastated. And that next morning, I was doing my chanting early morning and I just couldn't rest. I just started from where I don't know, I was near the altar chanting. I started getting this deep desire in my heart that I have to somehow, do some service here. And I just put down my chanting and I composed an email and I requested people to connect me. I had some, from my specialty, I have some background with very complex immunological diseases, which are actually COVID complications. So with that background and all the medications were coming from my specialty and we have a lot of connections and everything. So my deep desire was that I used all of these in Maharaj's service. And I do not know where this came from and I didn't think it would happen. Within an hour I was asked actually to join, I was connected back and I was put in the medical team. Later I realized that there were other physicians that were requesting this, which didn't materialize. So I'm first of all extremely, extremely grateful for this unique opportunity of my life. It has given me something very memorable for my life. These last 3 weeks have been life-changing for me. The people that I met with and the way I saw them serve him and Maharaj's intimacy with each one of them, I got to learn a lot. I did get a role in the team because a lot of his, a lot of things that were happening were very related to my specialty. So I was very grateful for that opportunity. I personally feel that I got an opportunity to spiritualize my very long material journey. Speaking of Maharaj, I have no words. During these 3 weeks, I learned so much about him. It was just not his personal relationship with his disciples. I happened to, so day and night we were just meditating on this. A couple hours a day we were spending on ground. So actually we pushed back all our personal work and our work commitments and we were doing this. Always we were in this mood of Maharaj. So I was listening to some of his lectures too. And I got to learn quite a bit about him. And it is heartbreaking actually. Yesterday was the day when we were thinking, we have some more time and some things could change. But when just before, we got the news, I was thinking, tomorrow is Guru Purnima in US. I was thinking Sunday was Guru Purnima, and we knew he was going downhill, and he may not make it. Maybe he will leave on Guru Purnima. And in 5 minutes, and I sent some messages, and 5 minutes I heard that Maharaj is no more, and it was a little bit shocking. I don't know from where I got this. He's going to leave on Guru Purnima, and then I figured that Guru Purnima was on Saturday in US and Sunday in India. So it was. Then later I got to know that he was initiated on the same day, both initiations and everything. I'm very, very extremely grateful to His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj for this unique opportunity. I had no entitlement for the kind of service he gave to me. And it's been heartbreaking. We had some non-devotee physicians in the circle, they are heartbroken, and that's perhaps the personality of Maharaj. And I cannot be any, I cannot thank enough Srila Prabhupada for including me and my family into this family. I never imagined that, I could come across souls like this in my life. And I can never repay this debt in my life. And whatever I have in my life, if I can use it for the service of ISKCON and the devotees here, I think my life will be fruitful. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Anybody else? Hare Krishna. So we are very fortunate here, first of all, to have this program under the shelter of Srila Prabhupada and Sri Radha Kunjiyari. And because of all of your love, you are here to receive the blessings from His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. As many historical events happen in ISKCON, this will be also one of the most outstanding events, how he departed. Because it starts with his journey, how he joined the movement. So fortunately, in my journey here at Devswan Mandir, he came 3 times here at Devswan Mandir. And every time, I had a little bit more and more and more intimate relationship. So up to the limit that he would, under that there was another tree before, but under the tree he would, ask me to sit down next to him and put his hand around me and start with deities. For some reason, he loved Sri Radha Kunjiyari in a special way. He would stand in front of the Sri Radha Kunjiyari and just as if he was mesmerized, he would just keep on looking. And then he used to share with me how different features are so unique, so different than any other deities he has seen. And somehow that he also knew the history of Devswan Mandir, and he was also very close to Amrish Prabhu and Swaha Mataji. So he would also relate how Amrish Prabhu has shared some of the internal matters happened when this temple was bought. So he said, you are very lucky to be able to participate in loving service of Sri Radha Kunjiyari, because this is one of the dearest most project of Sri Prabhupada. And then he would like me to arrange different programs. So I remember one time I arranged a program in Grosse Point right nearby, and the house was normal size, and for some reason so many people came, so people were standing out looking from the windows and everything. So, and his favorite subject was Gopi Git. Actually, he used to carry the Gopi Git copies with him and just distribute everybody. And he would, actually Gopi Git is about the Gopi and Krishna, but he used to connect Gopi Git with Srila Prabhupada in such a sweet way. Tava Kathamrutam. He would relate how this is how Prabhupada is predicted in Gopi Git. But then he would tell me, you should take me to a bigger house. So next time I would go take him to bigger house, again same thing would happen. House would be always filled and some people would sitting outside. So he said, now we have to find a hall. So we had one time also in a hall program and he was very happy. I remember every time in old time we used to go and attend GBC meeting in Mayapur as temple president. So I had a good fortune to attend many years there. So I would sit with our GBC Ravindra Suprabhu in the meetings, and he used to sit right next to Ravindra Suprabhu. They were very close friends. Actually, Ravindra Suprabhu used to live in his quarter in Conch building, one of the best place. And I used to go and meet them. And he, even though the quarter, if anybody has seen, is the very most opulent place in whole Mayapur, very beautifully made. But he would live in the most simplest way. So even to the rule Ravindra Suprabhu shared with me, that he won't let Ravindra Prabhu use towel. He would say only you can use gamcha because Prabhupada used only gamcha. He never used towel. So he always, whoever stayed, he would buy gamcha for them and show them how to use it. So that was thing. And in one meeting, I remember it was a very complicated situation. Few leaders left, and I was kind of sad and a little confused what is happening. And somehow that he realized that I must be thinking or worried or maybe confused what is happening. I remember next day in the morning, Mangala Aarti, all of a sudden I see him standing behind me and massaging my shoulder and saying everything will be all right. So I'll remember those memories, very, very loving, as everybody has narrated and said. He would also give hug, totally, keep his hands around you. He was very good in cooking also. So I had good fortune also eating in his room. And detailed explanation of any question you ask. And I'm extremely grateful to Srila Prabhupada for giving us this movement. Those who are following right now what is going on, how all the leaders in ISKCON, starting with we can see his Rashinan Prabhu, he narrated his loving relationship, encouragement, and how he saw the spark in him. Same way, all the leaders, starting with His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he gave this wonderful class on him and explaining how he taught us by his own life. The first thing is he became devotee just by reading Nectar of Devotion. So by his own example, he showed Srila Prabhupada books how powerful they are. And because of that, I remember when he came, our shipment from the BBT was actually being delivered. And he saw boxes and boxes. And he was so happy that this is the real way to please Srila Prabhupada. And then we were trying to organize, put the books in the shelf. So he was chanting, in the temple room. He came in the gift shop and said, I would like to also participate. So he started opening the boxes and putting, the books in the shelves. He had a very strong attachment with the books, and I think he conquered Srila Prabhupada's heart through books. And he showed us also how we all can go on the same route, just reading Srila Prabhupada books and distributing Srila Prabhupada books. So that's what he showed. Another thing, as some of you might know, when he got really determined to join ISKCON and come to Mayapur, he went to Mother Ganges and removed all his clothes, all his belongings. He bundled up and threw in the Ganges. And whatever devotee gave him, the clothes and everything, he started his journey. So he renounced totally from material life and joined Krishna consciousness. And as also during the final pastime of Srila Prabhupada, if you see video and also those who were right next. Actually, I was told Prabhupada would only take medicine through his hand. He considered him a very, very intimate son. So he was in charge of giving Prabhupada medicine, even he was cooking for Prabhupada. And during the whole final Leela of Prabhupada, he was there, naturally profusely crying, as if any young child would cry for his father's departure. But we are very fortunate to have, first of all, such a great pure devotee in our movement. And now we have also Lokeshwari Mataji, Vempavi Mataji, and few others. One of the top disciples of him we have here. And naturally, we can always associate either father through children or guru through the disciples also. So that we have a special gift. And in some way, we can see how powerful Shri Radha Kunj Vihar in his mercy is, that 4 devotees, two male and 2 female, they all were fully engaged in making sure every step of his final journey was most comfortable and best possible treatment was given. As Mahasundari Mataji, Vaikarchidran Guru, also Vinay Gaurang Prabhu and his wife, four of them, they were really constantly working on his welfare, how he is most comfortable. So this is again, these four are representative of the mercy of Shri Radha Kunj Vihari here. And we can see anywhere you go, you'll find this kind of wonderful connection. So again, I would like to thank you all for coming and participating in this wonderful Anjali to His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and especially it is our good fortune that we can be in the family of Srila Prabhupada together and participate, experience, and learn from this example, so ultimately we all can go back to Godhead in this lifetime. Thank you also Madhu Krishna Prabhu and his sister and family for sponsoring this wonderful feast in a very, very auspicious day of his celebration of departure of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. Thank you so much. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. And he would like to offer flowers. They are most welcome to offer flowers. And the prasadam is ready. Kirtan would go on. Thank you so much.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Thanks for tuning in. Memorial service for Bhakti Charu Swami. Do it here. Hopefully it's a useful video. Got my face mask on, as does almost everyone. So, Hare Krishna. Maybe I'll get a little bit of the kirtan, see the flowers, social distancing services. Maybe I'll wait in line and offer some flowers too while I put my garland on.
Hare Krishna. So we'll pray to His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj for his blessings, and also for his disciples and those who are close and intimate to him, that they get the strength to the end of this loss. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.